Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about this SG that I'm going to be refinishing. So this is a 2022 Gibson USA SG61 faded. So really the main difference between the faded and the regular full fat version literally is pickup covers and the finish. So the regular SG61 from the Gibson USA line comes with a gloss nitro cellulose finish. This one has a satin nitrocellulose finish. So they do the pore fill on this, but they don't. You can definitely see the grain. You can feel the grain and everything, and most of it. I have seen one of these where it was super perfectly level sanded with the grain fill, but it was still satin. This one you feel pretty much all of the grain as well. But other than that, that's the main difference between I think it's like $200 or $300 difference between this one and the regular full gloss nitro. Honestly, I think the ones I've played back to back, this being a thinner finish actually is more resonant. It could have been those particular guitars, but in any case, I quite dig the satin finish. It's pretty cool. But the neck, I think the neck, I prefer the gloss nitro. I know some people prefer the satin because but this starts to buff up pretty quick. And I guess the owner has been playing it and it's getting pretty shiny right here. So that slick satin feel will go away pretty soon if you're playing it a lot. It's starting to buff up right here too. Well, anyway, that's neither here nor there, because what we're going to do is refinish this guitar. The owner and I've done his vintage 62 SG Les Paul SG custom, and I refinished that one. It had a bunch of issues with it had been refinished many times. It was super soft. See the other video that I'll link in the description on that refinish job. But this one I'm gonna try and document most of it as we go and do a final video. But what we're going to do with this one, we talked originally about maybe some golds. There was a TV gold that I saw from Peach Guitars that was super cool. I think he was kind of keen on the gold, but not the TV gold. I'm not quite sure. But then we talked about some greens and whites. And ultimately what we ended up coming up with was TV white. So we're going to take this cherry faded finish and make it TV white. And I just so happen to have, well, I went and got a piece of Honduran mahogany. This is actual, real, old growth Honduran mahogany that I have been testing with. So we did a natural pore fill just to see how that would look, and a dark walnut pore fill, which you see here, here, and here, to see what that grain will look like. Because I've seen some custom shop Gibsons with the TV white, and I thought it looked awesome. And as you can see here, it kind of varies with the grain, how much white you see versus how much grain you see. So it should look really cool in the end, but that's what we're going for. So I've been testing this with a Polaris white nitrocellulose, and then the dark walnut pore filler, and then a clear on top of it. So this is a test bed for me to make sure I know how to get the achieved end result. And so that's what we're going to be doing on this. So this guitar plays great. The Maestro stays in tune. This is such a good guitar. He said when he got it, the reflector was missing. Some of the things about the Gibson USA, this one in particular, there's a little shelf from the binding to the neck, mahogany, that's not super sanded well. So I'm going to address that. And I love the frets actually, and the binding nibs are pretty small already. I'll document that, of course, but we're going to roll these edges a little bit to be more comfortable to play, because that's kind of a sharp edge. To me, I'm used to playing the vintage ones and custom shop stuff, so this feels a little less comfortable. Something like this little shelf right here, you feel it. It doesn't feel that good compared to how it will feel. and how it could. Otherwise, everything's great. The nut's nice, sounds good, plays nice. You know, it's a good looking guitar, but I think in TV white, it's going to look quite awesome as well. Should look really cool. Pretty excited to see that. It's going to be a couple months in the making, because first thing I got to do is the next part of this video I'm going to talk about is he wants some of the bevels addressed. Now the Gibson USA gets much better than the custom shops were for a while, because this bass horn in the custom shops used to be super fat. They have since recently revised and revised again to where now that bass horn is very accurate to an original 61, but it is still missing a little bit on the newest cuts. They're missing this relief bevel right here on the custom shops. I'm not sure if that's a conscious choice or if this just got overlooked, but the rest of this bevel here and the taper is perfect now. There's very little to complain about on the custom shops, but this was a good bargain for him compared to a custom shop. So we're going to address these, and also the Gibson USAs have come out with a little bit more rounder of a horn, which I'm going to show here in a little bit, that on the original 61s that's how it's supposed to be. So this gives me more meat to do the correct shaping of this bevel here, and we're going to address that before we do the finishing. But the first step is going to be stripping it, doing all the body bevels, then we'll do the finish. And in the end, I'm going to put some pickup covers on there. I have some extra ones, and I'm going to give those to him, and then that'll look the part too. So I think I'm of two minds on the uncovered pickups. I think it kind of looks cool, but I think it also looks way cooler when you have pickup covers, especially if you have the Maestro Vibrola. But anyway, all right. Thanks for watching this one, or maybe it'll be part of the same video. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to edit it in, but watch for the next part here, and we'll show you this versus a real 1961. Okay, so here we're going to talk about the differences between a real 1961 and the 61 Gibson USA 1961 kind of standard line. At a glance, they're pretty close, but there are some differences, and the custom shop gets even closer. There's some build differences and some cosmetic differences. So we're going to go over that a little bit. I'll just kind of point out things here. So the Gibson USA, up until 2021, 2022, the thistle inlay used to be lower. So they finally moved that back up to the correct spot for a 1961. That changed in the mid to late 60s, where the thistle moved down, and then it stayed that way up until fairly recently for the standard line, except for the custom shops. The custom shops have been doing that. The headstock shape is quite different, actually. They are... I'll inset some photos here to kind of show the difference maybe, but the Gibson USA headstock is quite a bit thinner here at the wrist and at the top. The horn, the open book part is not quite as large as the original. Of course, you have different style tuners. These are the bushing style, and those are not, where this has a threaded bushing. Generally, everything is fairly close. You can kind of see at a glance the way the neck joins the body is fairly close. The control layout is pretty much the same. You have a Nashville style bridge, an ABR1, shorter pickup. I think the neck angle and everything is quite a little bit different without knowing for sure. But one of the main things is the body bevels. Now they've gotten closer here. Let me see if I can illustrate this here. The originals are, they're about pretty close right there. They're pretty thin in the center part. But the main thing here is this body bevel here right here. It's a deep cut here, and it kind of gets almost not vertical, but it's more sideways here. This one is a cut a little bit deeper too on the original. The heels are different. The original 60s Les Pauls and SGs had a number of different heels. There was this one actually is closer to a 1960 and early 61 with a step. The original step had a little bit more of a rectangle pronouncement here, but this was closer to the original, the earliest heel. And I'll show you what. Then the second version of the heel was this one, where it was super smooth, where they just had it kind of come out, the shelf came out, and then they blended it into the neck. So this is the second type of heel. The third type of heel was much like you see on a 64, where it has a little shelf that comes out and it stops, and then you have a kind of pronounced flat on the heel. And then for 63 and 64, that got a little bit smaller. And then 65, we went back to a rectangle, more a step like this that had a little bit more of a rectangle to it. And then in 66, we got a really long heel, a flat on the heel. And it looked pretty crazy. Otherwise, there's not too much more of a difference there. So this is actually closer to the earliest version, still slightly different. But what was interesting is, I'm sure that these break as well, but you know, nobody really complains about these days compared to how they did back then. And actually this neck is inset a little bit more than the original, whereas you can see that there's a good 1/8 of an inch or more of the neck being above the body here, where the binding is flush pretty much with the top of the body here. It's kind of interesting. But I haven't measured the thickness of these bodies to see how close they are. I guess I'll do that here at some point, just out of curiosity's sake. But that's what we're going for. I'm going to measure the angles and the cut depth of cuts and replicate that here. And then we'll do the refinish on the TV white and roll the binding, get it nice and good feeling, instead of this sharp shelf here on both sides. And we'll make the fretboard look nice and rosy and dark, and it should be awesome. So that's kind of in a nutshell some of the differences, the main key differences. Some of the things can't be helped, like one of the things that they did on their vintage here is this bevel tapers up, so it actually gets wider on the edge, thinner here, where they've kept it thinner more here and wider here. So there's nothing I can do about that. I can't put wood back, but what I can do is deepen this bevel and bring this in so that it looks more correct. And these lines are all a little bit sharper than these, so we're going to address that as well. So this is going to look much nicer. The other difference is that is a thicker bevel pick guard than this. You can get Mojo Axe or something if you really want to replicate that with this. You can get those, but I don't think that's part of the goal with this. So he just wants the body bevels to look and feel correct, and then the new refinish. So yeah, should be awesome. All right, thanks for watching.